All right, here we are. Are we here? I think so. Yeah, here we are. So, if you don't know me, I'm Marc. I teach people how to be poker dealers on YouTube, and right now I am live streaming from Texas Card House in Dallas, and we're gonna have some fun today. I want all you to know right off the bat that this is a room that I've now been dealing at for 3 days. I'm a dual rate here. I don't know how long I'll be here for, but I decided to come out here. It's been really cool so far, and I told them I was going to do a live stream and asked them if they wanted anything, and they said, well, we are going to be going 24/7 pretty soon, and maybe you can mention that we're hiring dealers. You know, they've been closing every day. I don't know exactly what time they close. I think it depends on how many tables they have, but then they open up at noon again, and so now they're looking for more people because they want to expand their hours to 24/7. They've proven that the business is here and it's time to do it, and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. I also wanted to be here to answer any of your questions as always. I did start my live stream a little bit late today. I certainly acknowledge that, and you know, it happens, right? There's been a lot of stuff that I've been trying to get done, and moving out to Dallas has been one of them. And I also wanted to talk to you guys about some of my experience dealing here so far. You know, it's been 5 years for me since I've been a poker dealer, and coming back to deal poker again after 5 years has been really interesting. So I'm pretty excited about that too. But as always, you know, put your questions in the chat. I'm just gonna pop this in here and encourage people. Wait, where's my keyboard? Nope, I'll use this one. Put your questions in the chat.
Coop for 1 and 2.
Just like always, I'm here to answer your questions. It is still a normal QA, and I happen to be here right now at Texas Card House in Dallas, and I'm here to have some fun, talk to you guys about my experience, and let you guys know that they are going to be hiring more dealers coming up pretty soon. I did put a link in the description for anybody that's looking for where to go for that. I'm sure I'll get that question as well. Maybe I should pop that link in here too. Let's see. Well, you guys can find it if you want it. But yeah, as always, like I said, we're doing questions right now, anything that you want to know. And in the downtime, I'm sort of going to talk about what my experience has been like dealing here so far. The first thing I'll say about dealing in Texas Card House in Dallas is the players here are a lot nicer than I'm used to. It's sort of just a simple fact. You know, poker players lose, poker players win. The times that they lose, sometimes they get sort of upset with the dealer. In 3 days that I was here, I really didn't experience that at all. I would say more of the normal stuff. I mean, it's not zero, but the people out here seem really nice. I thought that's been really cool. And it's almost like unique in a sense. Ryu says, or RYO, I don't know how to pronounce it, says, hey, I played poker for the first time in my life. Well, first of all, congratulations to that. You know, dealing the last few days here in Dallas, I've had a couple of people that I actually dealt their first hand to. That was sort of cool for me. Always a nice thing to do that. What was it like playing poker for the first time in your life? What game did you play? Tell us about it. I'm curious. You have my attention. So let me tell you guys, first of all, so I probably dealt over the last 3 days out here. You know, again, it's been 5 years since I did this, and I probably dealt a total of, let me see, 25, 26 hours in those 3 days. And the first thing that I noticed as I was doing it is my back was like, oh, you're a 39-year-old man now, which I thought was sort of funny. But I mean, it was fine doing all that. It's just something that I noticed because, you know, you get older. It's just how life works. And I certainly noticed that, although the chairs here are pretty comfortable, which I give them credit for that. Something else that I want you guys to know, if you've never dealt poker before and you don't know what it's like to be a poker dealer, you know, there's an expectation before you start that you have to be absolutely perfect all the time. And I want you guys to know that I didn't make any mistakes that were the types of mistakes where the whole world falls apart, but I probably made like 20 mistakes over the course of those 3 days, just getting back into it. You know, I flipped at least 3 cards. At one point, I used my deckhand to reach out and get a $1 chip, and a player reached for it at the same time, and the deck actually went flying out of my hand before the flop. I guess I don't know if I would call that a mistake. It's like I've never seen that before. It was super interesting. And I'm going to ask you guys what you do in that situation. You call the floor, that's right. And we were able to fix that. But I mean, those are still mistakes, right? I misread 2 hands over the course of the 3 days. You know, they play some pretty intense games here sometimes. I'd never dealt double board Congress before I came here, and I dealt that yesterday. That was interesting. It's not very often that players are going to read boards faster than me, but this is a game that I didn't have a ton of experience with, so it's something where they were quicker than me, and I was like, oh boy, got to practice this one. And my reason for saying all this is it happens, you know. You don't have to be absolutely perfect when you come to the table. A couple of things that I did that I want you guys to know about just to help you if you're ever in the situation where you're about to start dealing. Number one, I told people, hey, I haven't dealt in a while. I know what I'm doing. I haven't dealt in a while. Got to get back to it. Hey, how's it going? And it was cool. It was like they received that warmly, you know. It's humans love vulnerability. If you can be vulnerable, even in a situation like being a poker dealer, they will respond to it. Now, that being said, if you're tapping into a very high stakes game where a lot's on the line, that's a little bit tough. You could probably still do the same thing, but maybe you shouldn't be at that game, you know what I mean? But tapping into like a 1-2 no limit game or a 2-5 no limit game, at least for me anyway, you know, you just jump in and you say, hey, you know, I haven't dealt in 5 years, and I'm back to it, and you know, we'll see how this goes type of thing. They'll be supportive if you handle it and you're like honest and genuine. They love that. It was also really nice getting tipped again. I haven't been tipped as a poker dealer in a very long time, and I appreciate all the poker players that were here tipping for sure. And yeah, it was really interesting getting back into it and experiencing it again. You know, one thing about Texas Card House Dallas, the way that they make their money is not by taking a rake. So there was something about that was a little bit different. I never had to worry about a rake in any pot. And the entire thing was hand shuffling because they have the players pay time. So hand shuffling was like, my pinky right here is feeling it. So if you're a new dealer and your fingers are a little bit sore, first of all, it goes away. I know this because I've been here before, right? But your fingers might be a little sore if you're hand shuffling exclusively. There's no shuffle machines on these tables. Most poker rooms have them. They don't have them here because there's no reason for them to pay for them because they don't take a rake. But I thought that was really interesting that my pinkies were getting sore. I liked the memory of like, oh yeah, this is what it's like, you know? There's that, even for me, there's that little bit of an adrenaline rush when you go and you sit down at a table for the first time. It's pretty cool jumping in and dealing, and you know, I also sort of was curious how the players would respond to my specific style of dealing. I tend to be very by the book, and it's really interesting. Shane said, hey Mark, lots of compliments from the players following you the other day. Hey Shane, you were tapping me out. That's really funny. So first of all, I appreciate that very much. It's cool that you're watching this right now. I'm not sure if that means that you're on property here. Feel free to jump in and say hi if you want, but definitely appreciate that. And that's really interesting. I would have never known that if you hadn't told me that. So thank you to you for saying that. Thank you to them for saying that. It's funny because I think you were maybe the first dealer following me, and the thought that came to my mind as you were following me the whole time was, man, I was focused on the game to start out. It had been 5 years. I wasn't as focused on my bank. We have a $1,500 bank here that we can use to sell players and make change and stuff like that. And I was just like not paying super close attention to it. I knew that I'd get back into that within a couple of tables or maybe a few hours or something. And truth be told, 3 days later, I'm a lot more experienced with the specific bank they have here, but I'm still not perfect with it, but I'm getting there. But I felt like I kept leaving you messes, and I appreciated you just following me and being casual and cool about it. But that was really nice of you to jump in and make that comment. That was cool. I'm also curious to hear a little bit more because I actually, so for you guys out there that are watching this, I plan on playing poker. If you want to join me today at Texas Card House in Dallas, I plan on playing some 1-2 no limit after I'm done with this stream. I want to gain the perspective of what the other dealers here deal like. And I'm not doing it to like watch them or figure out how they deal and judge them. I'm doing it to see what the tendencies are here and, you know, what the players are used to. Shane said it was all good. I've seen worse, LOL, talking about the racks that I left him. Yeah, so I don't even know what the standard is. I had some dealers that I followed that would literally tell me how much cash was in the well and like organize everything perfectly. And I appreciated that, but I also didn't know, like it's hard for me to tell if, because I'm friendly with Victor, the GM here. You know, I've known him for years. I trained him as a dealer and as a supervisor, not exclusively as a dealer. Like he went to a dealer school, but then I did some training with him and I did a lot of supervisor training with him too. And it's really cool that he's running this room now, and he's certainly earned it and worked his way up. But it makes it hard for me to know if people are going to tell me honest things because I have a friendship with him, you know? I'm certainly not here as a spy or anything like that, but I don't know that anybody knows that. The industry is a weird place sometimes. But yeah, so like when people are counting their or telling me how much cash is in there and setting up the bank perfectly for me, I'm like, oh, are they doing this for me, or is this what everybody does here? I don't have any way to know that. It's really interesting. Certainly appreciate your comment, Shane, though, and I'm curious if you're here. Let me see. Someone said hi, and it's using characters that I'm not familiar with, so I don't know how to read it. But hi, I'll say hi back. And Ben's here. Ben says, hey, Mark. Ben is somebody that he took my course a while ago, and you know he learned table games first. And his journey to be a poker dealer is pretty cool. Ben, I am going to be playing poker today. I can guarantee I'll be here until about 6 p.m. Central Time. And if you want to come and play a little 1-2, we can try to get on the same table. I know that you're about an hour away, but I'm glad that you said hey. It would be cool to meet you in person, though. I should say that Ben's somebody I have a ton of respect for. He made it happen. He went from table games dealer to poker dealer, and he's living the life now. Shane says, I'm at home, days off. I have my 2 kids, not much poker playing for me. Totally respect that. Well, it was cool seeing you here. And I have 2 kids too, and I totally know what it's like, man. So that's really cool. Definitely enjoy your time with them, right? I mean, that's life for sure. Oh, let me get my head sort of in the way of this TV screen behind me. I'm going to just block it out totally. Well, we'll see if I can remember to keep doing that. But yeah, let's see. Dealing poker here had some cool situations. Like I said, this particular room gets games. They have a lot of 1-2 no limit, and they're great 1-2 no limit games. If you're a poker player, the 1-2 no limit games here are better than anywhere I've been. The 2-5 games are really deep, which is cool. I feel like those games can sometimes play bigger than 2-5, and I feel like I wish I had the money to play in them. They even had a 5-10 here yesterday that was lasting all day, and then they've got the live stream starting up. I'm looking over here because that's where it is, the live stream. So I'm on table number 18. It goes 1 through 4, and then 5 through 9, and then I guess 11 through, maybe it's 5 through 8. I don't know. I'm not going to figure it out. But then behind me is table 19. This is table 18. And then over there in the little private area is table 20, which is a live stream table. And the whole thing here is a really nice setup. I've been pretty impressed with it overall. You know, for a poker room that is, 4 months old now? Something like that. They do a really good job here. And I'm saying it from the point of, I don't need to be out here working. This isn't something I'm doing because I need to be doing it. And I'm choosing to be here because it's a good spot to be. It's a good experience for me to have. I like the fact that I'm jumping back into dealing again. It's definitely something that, you know, if I'm going to be true poker dealer, I have to deal poker sometimes, right? So this is something that's really fun, and I'm choosing to come here because I really want to. And I sort of like that it's hand shuffle, because hand shuffle is something that it feels a little bit more like real poker, honestly. I don't know how else to say it. Ooh, listen to this. So they're seeing it. Sounds like they might be opening another table. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Looks like 9 games going, about to be 10. D1 Keys, hey, what's going on? It says, I have a bunch of random questions if you don't mind me just rattling them off. No, not at all. Fire away, man. It gives me stuff to talk about. You guys might not realize how hard it is just to talk to a camera constantly. By the time I'm done with these live streams, as much as I enjoy it, it's tiring. I'm like beat. So the less I have to freestyle and the more I can sort of answer questions, the better I'm going to be at this. So yeah, fire as many questions as you got. I appreciate them. It's not the other way around. I'll take a second and take a sip of my water.
Herbert M. Lee.
Yeah, they run a pretty tight ship here too, which is really nice. D1 Key says, so I had someone ask me why cut cards have a shiny side and I didn't have an answer.
Sam.
I don't know. That's a great question. The cut cards here actually don't have a shiny side. I don't have one of their cut cards in the well. But I was noticing that. But most cut cards do have a shiny side. It might just be the plastic coating, but you might remember from one of my True Poker Dealer videos, I think it was the shuffle video, I actually teach people not to use that. Or I'm sorry, I teach people not to leave the shiny side up to cut the cards because you can see the reflection of a card on there. It's an incredibly minor detail that almost never ends up mattering. What I mean by that is, if you do cut the cards using the shiny side up, it's fine, it's whatever. But for the most part, you might as well avoid it. I went, after I made that video about a year later, I went on some forum. It might have been, I don't know, it was a forum that was relatively critical. And they were talking about how the shiny side, they were like, I can't believe this guy said that. But then someone actually tested it and showed that you can see the reflection of it. I thought that was pretty cool. People like to be very judgmental and critical about things that they're either unfamiliar with or haven't heard or something like that. And, sometimes you just got to prove them, right? Sparrow says, you ever seen Molly's Game? Yes, I watched that movie. If it's anywhere close to 100% fact, the money going around in that game was insane. Yeah, I don't know how true all the stuff about Molly's Game was. I've heard different things. I've heard that, I've heard which celebrity was supposedly which character, and stuff like that. But those games, I believe that they're out there. I haven't personally played in any of them. Obviously, they're incredibly high stakes. They're celebrities and all this stuff. But those games, I've heard that they're out there. And you know what? Why not, right? Why not have them out there? Although things that are illegal often get shut down, as you see. But I do genuinely believe that was based on true life events. But I can't confirm anything like that.
Congress?
Sparrow says, whenever I hear home games, I automatically think of that for some reason. Home games are generally like low stakes, fun people. I've played in a lot of home games. Like, you know a bunch of dealers, you play in home games. But the home games, people don't really go to make money. They go to have fun and have drinks and all that stuff. These are the ones that I'm talking about. By the way, Texas culture is very interesting. I've spent very little time out here, but I'm starting to learn it. I'm hearing what people talk about on the tables. I'm hearing about these underground games out here. It's pretty interesting hearing it. It's nice that there's real poker in Texas now at Texas Card House. That makes me happy. I mean, it's freaking Texas, right? Like, it's Texas Hold'em. Ben says, I hear from dealers that went from Choctaw to there that the managers at TCH Dallas are very strict on the dealers. Yes, that's true. Do you know what things management are strict on? Well, I don't know. I mean, here's what I'll say. Let me give them a second to finish all this. I have no idea if them talking is going to go right over me, so I'm just going to give it a second, but then I'll try to answer you. So, in my experience, because maybe because I'm True Poker Dealer, maybe because I know the GM, I haven't received anything like that. But in order to run a good poker room, You have to be strict on dealers. You have to care that they're following proper procedure. You have to care that they're interacting with the guests properly. And something that is definitely existing out here in Texas is there's a ton of underground trained dealers. And what I mean by that is people who have learned poker in a different way than casino poker. Now, I mentioned earlier, the GM out here is someone that I trained a lot. The poker room that I worked with him at, where I was his manager, is a room where we were incredibly strict in Florida, and the staff actually liked it a lot. It wasn't the best neighborhood to do that in, because there was a little bit of an imbalance between the style of player and the way that we were running things, but it worked. And I believe that what you're talking about is probably that culture coming out here, where you expect a lot from the dealers, such as it's almost like you expect them to run their game perfectly, right? And then you also understand that they're not going to, but you expect it. And so I don't have any specifics. I have not received a single bit of communication from any staff here, supervisor, anything like that, telling me to do anything differently in the 3 days that I've been here. But I'm also very trained. I'm also very aware in terms of how to do floor rulings and stuff like that, so I'm able to deal preventatively. But that is a great question, and it's something that I'll check up on as I go. That's part of why I sort of want to play here a bit. But I mean, you know, if people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing, they are going to get write-ups. I do know that they give out write-ups for not following procedure, especially if a dealer's been trained and told and all that stuff. And man, does it make a better room. The dealers here, from what I've seen, though, are pretty good, but I haven't played a ton. I've sort of just watched a little bit here and there. The mechanics are a little bit underground compared to what I'm used to in casino, but it's really not that bad. It's not that far off, and their awareness of the game seems to be really on point. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of poker rooms out there where they're just super laid back and they let anything go. That's definitely not the case here. You can tell by the way the dealers are. But I think the dealers like it that way. So when you hear that the staff is strict on the dealers, I'm going to guess that that just means that it's casino standard. That's my guess. I would love to actually grab somebody to come over here. Maybe I'm going to text a supervisor, and if he's available, maybe we can ask him that question.
KO Mike, who's standing your sticker for Congress?
I'm going to see if he'll come over. But I'll tell you what, if that's the case here, I love it. I love hearing that. I love running a strict room because it just makes everyone better. Let's see. G Lee says, how much do they charge players here? So there's no rake taken at the actual table. Oh, Leon says sure, he'll come by. Great. So there's no rate taken at the actual table. What they do is you buy your time, and it's $13 an hour. So it's really not that bad. If you think about how much you pay in rake or anything like that, you're going to be paying a lot more than $13 an hour. Time rake is usually 7 to 9 per half hour, so double that per hour. And so yeah, they do 13 an hour, and at first the players are like, oh, I don't like it, but because that's just, they're not used to having to actually think about paying for that. But when it actually comes down to it, they love it because they know that they're paying less, one, and also it does this really cool thing to the games that I've never experienced before, but I love. It keeps the players in the seats. When the players are paying for time, they stay at the table. Like, I've never seen a third man walking here, ever. 3 days, 20-something hours, but usually there's multiple players up from the table. They're doing this, they're doing that. Like, people stay in their seats while they're playing, and it's great. So Leon's coming over here, and he's going to answer that question, and I'm really excited for this. So the question was, Ben says, hey, so this is Leon. Here, let's bring him up on the camera so he can see too. So you're right here. And he's waving, and he's an assistant manager here. which is awesome, and he's been so good to work with so far. So right here is what we're looking at. I hear from dealers that went from Choctaw, this is where he works right now as a dealer, to TCH, that the managers at TCH Dallas are very strict on the dealers. Do you know what things management are strict on?
We do have a couple of additional procedures that sometimes casino dealers aren't really used to. For example, one of them is sub counts.
Oh yeah,
we do need to count the stub because we don't have automatic shufflers that do it for them. Some dealers aren't used to that, so when they make mistakes that could cost us, and impact the integrity of the game, they kind of don't like it, especially if they're written up. Usually our write-ups are at the very basic level of documented coaching. You're not in trouble. We're just letting you know that this is something that you need to improve on because it is part of your job. But sometimes dealers don't like that. I would say overall we try to be as fair as we are to our dealers because the dealers are the core of your poker room. But sometimes they take it the wrong way. Sometimes they feel like they've been wronged. But I think overall we are not really. We're strict where we have to be, which is if a deck has been in play, and it has an extra card or it's missing a card, and that's because a dealer failed to perform the checks that they were required of, that could seriously impact the business, and we don't want that to happen. So we need to be strict on measures such as that.
Well, I super appreciate that, and that makes a ton of sense. Yes, you have to count the stub here. It's not something that I've done a ton of in rooms that have shuffle machines, but I've been doing it here. And honestly, once you learn to do it, it's not that hard. I actually have a free video up on YouTube. You can just find how to count the stub.
It is a little bit of extra work. Unfortunately, we don't have the means to have auto shufflers, and I believe there's some potential legal complications of auto shufflers in rooms in Texas.
Yep.
But just because we have to, if we were brought up to court of law, we have to prove that the machines were shuffling perfectly randomly, and it's just not something they want to deal with, as well as I believe it is.
It's a whole process, every single
substantial
state.
expense. Yeah. So.
Well, I certainly appreciate that.
Absolutely.
If we get more questions for Leon, maybe we'll call him back.
We'll be in and around. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So yeah, something that you guys should know. If you're not used to having to count the stub, you're not used to a procedure, and then someone tells you got to do it, and they tell you in a serious way, it's gonna feel like that. But that was a really, really good example of the type of answer, and that's probably why I'm not gonna receive that type of communication, because those things are sort of second nature to somebody that's been a dealer for a while. They do ask that you count the stub twice per down as well, and I mean that's a lot, But at the same time, you find the right spots, and it's fine. Let's see. D1 Keys says another is, can audience members see hole cards in a live setting? Isn't it risky that hole cards are being shown as a risk for cheating? So I think you're referring to the live streams that they do here, the TCH live streams, and they put everything on a 30-minute delay, and I don't have any insight into exactly how it's done, but I've heard them explain, and it sounded very clear when they explained it. I don't remember all the details, but I've heard them explain the way that they do the 30-minute delay makes it so that there's just no chance of that. But you'd have to ask them that, and I don't even know that Leon would have the answer to that. That might be a question for either Victor or the owner, Ryan, who... one thing that's really cool about the live streams at TCH, the owner here is incredibly involved in that whole production, which I've always been impressed with the fact that he's so involved in it, because he's literally just taking his time as the owner of the brand and going and participating and helping make sure all these things are done well. Let's see. Ben says, so far I'm pretty rock solid on everything on my deal except the speed of my pitch. I really want to pick up my speed, but I can't figure out how to really pick up the pace and cram out hands. And thanks for the answer, he said. Yeah, that's actually something a lot of dealers experience. The speed of the pitch is definitely something that comes with time, and at the same time, the technique that you use might limit your speed overall. So I do have a deck of cards here. I brought one this time, and let me pull this up so I can see properly. So something I find to be really valuable when you pitch, let me see how to angle this properly. we'll go like this. When you pitch, I'd have to see how you do it. Like whenever I help do training with people, I always look at the specific person because each person has different hands, different hand sizes, different initial grip, all this stuff, right? But the idea of the pitch is to look at all the little bit of motion that I have here. The less motion you have, the easier it's going to be to pitch. So one of the goals of learning to increase your speed is learning to sometimes even slow down and improve your technique so that you can get to a point where the mechanics are set up for you to be able to really improve over time. Everybody learns a specific type of mechanics, you know, and whatever you start with is where you're going to be, and that in itself could be what limits your speed. So I'd be really curious, Ben, you could just send me a little video, and you know, as somebody who has essentially graduated the True Poker Dealer school, I'm more than happy to take a look at it and see if there's anything that I have to say about it. But appreciate that comment and that perspective too. You know, if you notice, my wrist isn't going like this, my fingers aren't like this, it's just like a little bit of motion, that's it. Making things as effortless as possible has a huge positive impact. If you're just joining us, by the way, I do want to just mention again, TCH Live is planning on going 24 hours. They're not currently 24 hours. That means that they're going to need more dealers and other staff as well. So this is a great time to come in and show them what you got and try to get yourself a poker dealer job at a room that I think is run really well. Just wanted to throw that out there. Spiro says, I've only played in rooms that are in casinos, so a casino poker room versus one not in a casino. Which has better promos or a better experience? That's a good question, actually. So they don't take any promo drop or anything like that here. And because of that, it's mostly just here. People just mostly come to actually play poker and win money off of other players at the table. There's not this high hand chasing mentality. I love the fact that people are here to actually play poker, and the only place they're really going to win money is from the other players at the table. Now, they do some promotions here, but it's all paid for by the house completely. So that's something that's very different and really refreshing to me, honestly, just to sort of be present for a room where it's just about the poker for the most part. And I know that they have some tricks up their sleeve. I know for Valentine's Day they did some kind of a promo where they gave away tickets and drawings and thousands of dollars. Like, they do it sometimes, but it's not a part of the core business. The core business is people come to actually play poker and to actually stack other players, and it's pretty cool that that's what they're here for. Patrick says, howdy y'all. It's Pat the Cat. Lost my bankroll, but we'll be back soon once I save up some money. Patrick. All right, man. I don't remember you coming up to me and saying hi. I would love for you to say, hey, I'm Patrick M, and then like give me a fist bump, and I'll be like, oh, I get it now. And if you did that and I missed it, my bad. You know, the first few days I've been here, a lot of people that have seen me on True Poker Dealer have come up and talked to me, and I really appreciate that. It's been really cool receiving that from you guys. Also, I haven't dealt in 5 years, so my mind was in the like get back in it, get back to like making dealing effortless, and I'm pretty much there. I was actually feeling into that before my shift yesterday. I'm just like, oh, okay. I pretty much just chill at this point, and I like that. But if you came up to me and talked to me, like, as soon as you left, like, my mind when I was at the job last few days was very focused on remembering how to deal, and like, not remembering, I know the rules, but it's one thing to know this stuff, and it's another thing to practice it and get in there and really do it and memorize all the specifics of a new room as well, because every room is different. So I was sort of like, you know, there's all these details, right? Like, even how to move the chairs, it's something you got to learn in order to be comfortable at the table. How to, like, where to put your knees and all this stuff. I had to figure all that stuff out. My mind was racing, and if you came up to me, come up to me again, even if we already talked. And because like there were people that I was like, oh, I really wish I got to know that person more. I like people. Gia G. Lee says, thank you. Do players purchase their time before game starts, or did the time charge being collected on the table? Generally speaking, when you come in and you get your membership's pretty cheap. It's like $30 for an entire month, something like that. When you come in and get your membership, they tell you, well, in order to play, you do have to buy some time. So they'll have you buy some to start out, and that's where you get started. And then when you run low, they use Poker Atlas here. And this is my first time using Poker Atlas. I've always used Bravo. Well, Poker Atlas is pretty good software. John, the CEO there, has done a pretty good job. And it shows up on the screen when you're low. So when you have 15 minutes left, it shows you up as yellow, and a dealer or some other staff member of the room will come up and ask you, oh, would you like more time? And you can either tell them you want to play it out to the end and then find out, then, or you can just literally pull out your player's card and either cash or a credit card of some sort and just add more time, and they'll run it over to the front for you. You don't even have to leave your seat. It's all pretty convenient and simple. So it's one of those that I think it's handled pretty well, honestly. They do a good job with that. Let's see. Glamour says, hey, LOL. Hey, what's going on? Glamour and Lena. Harshavardan. What qualifications do dealers need? You got to be able to deal. Literally. In a room like this, you just need to know how to deal, and you have to be able to prove it to them in an audition. I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it's possible. I'll be the one doing the auditions here. Now, this is a pretty tough room to deal in. I'm not going to lie to you. About 1 out of 6 tables that I deal here, maybe 1 out of 7, is a 4 or 5 card game, sometimes high-low. And they get a lot of those types of games, and they're definitely more challenging, because you have to be able to split the pot, count the pot. When someone says pot, I've had, in the 3 days I've been here, I've had probably 8 or 9 times where somebody has said that they're betting the pot, and I had to know how much it was. It's not a ton, but it's enough. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the simple ones, like the first open when you get 5-5 blinds and it's 20. I'm talking about like there was a pot in there, someone had bet, someone had called, and then somebody says pot or something like that. So the qualifications you need to deal here is literally you just need to know how to deal, and you have to be practiced at it enough. But they also have other jobs here as well. You could be a cashier, you could be a chip runner. Those types of jobs will get you in the door. And man, is it a lot easier when you get in the door in order to become a dealer. Especially now that somebody like me's here, where I might actually be doing some training for people here. And they're going to need more of those positions as well as they open more hours. Eric says, Mark, the poker room at my casino is finally reopening school. I've been waiting for this for a long time. It is not certain, but I have connected with the grave shift manager and poker room manager. He knows that I've been training with you for months, and I'm totally ready. I believe because of your training and my practice that I'm ready now, but I'm told that I still have to go through the school. That is fine. Because of your help, I'm fully prepared. I appreciate all those comments, man, very much. Thank you for the gratitude, and thank you for sharing that, especially here. And part of what he's referring to is I do offer a full course for how to deal poker, Texas Hold'em. There's 2 different versions of it. I offer a full course on how to deal Texas Hold'em. You can get that on YouTube, or you can get that on truepokerdealer.com. They're the same content for the most part. I have a few more quizzes and stuff on truepokerdealer.com. Just because they give me the flexibility with the separate system that I use there. But I also, on YouTube only, I have to create a version of this on truepokerdealer.com, but on YouTube only, I have all the bonus mixed game courses as well. So in a lot of poker rooms, you don't need that. You only need Texas Hold'em. In this poker room, you absolutely need everything that's in my bonus mixed game course on YouTube in order to be able to deal here. And now my recommendation to you is if you're starting from scratch, and you do want to learn how to deal, and you want it to be as cheap as possible, let me make it easy for you. Only get the membership on YouTube for $49.99 a month for Texas Hold'em. Learn all that, and then when you're done learning that, you can do it in 1 month. Get the bonus mixed games course, because it's more money for the mixed games course. And from there, you should be able to learn absolutely everything you need to even work in a complicated room like this. I'm not going to lie, this room is a little bit tougher. You just have to be able to pass an audition. You got to prove that you can deal pot limit. You got to prove that you can deal high-low. You got to prove that you can do these things. Otherwise, they can't hire you because, why? Well, they have these games in the room. And they don't want to have to manage dealers going to and from, They also get mixed games sometimes. I don't think all the dealers here know how to deal those yet. That might be something that I help with as well. I'm not going to lie, those types of games, I haven't dealt a ton of them. I've learned them, I've trained them, I've dealt them for sure. I dealt high stakes versions of them in Florida, but only for a few months, you know. And it's been a while, but they're great games. I really like them for what it's worth. Let's see. D1 Key says, do you have any recommendations for chips to purchase that are good quality and are similar to casino chips? What are your favorite brand type? Here, let me show you guys what I have right with me. I mean, honestly, chips to practice with, if you're talking about like a glamour chip set, a set that's meant for you to use with a lot of people that come over, I mean, I totally understand. But if you're just talking about something that's just meant for like you having games at home and stuff like that, but if you're talking about just to practice, I got these chips. I'll hold it right here. These are like the Ace Casino chips, and I'm holding it up here so you can see what it looks like. You can find it literally just on Amazon or something like that and purchase it there. These chips are totally fine. Most of the chips that you're gonna get on Amazon are totally fine in my opinion nowadays, as long as they look like regular casino chips. Just read the reviews, and if you're talking about practicing, you get absolutely everything that you need out of having chips like this. They'll do the job for you with no problem at all. Another thing you can do, and you know, people that have seen my videos talk about this all the time because they heard me say it and it's totally true. Go to a poker room or a casino, buy $100 worth of white chips, $1 chips, practice with those. When you're done, bring them back and get your $100 back. It's really simple, and you don't even have to pay for anything if you're just trying to practice, that is. It's also nice to feel what real casino chips feel like when you practice. Greg's here. How's it going, man? Hey again, Mark. Sorry for my absence lately. They've been working me pretty hard. Ooh, tell me where you've been working. Super curious about that. Gloria says, what are your other hobbies besides poker? Well, I really appreciate that question. Let's see. What else do I like? Nowadays, I like authentic relating is actually something that I started learning about a couple years ago. It's not huge yet in America, but it's pretty powerful. It's something you could look up, but let me see. There's authentic relating. I love the NBA. You know, recently I've sort of been going after NBA Top Shots. If you don't know what those are, they are basically digital trading cards that are licensed by the NBA that use blockchain. And I've been able to get a couple packs, and it's really hard to get packs. But boy, is it great. NBA Top Shot's cool. I love basketball. I've always loved basketball. Sports in general are cool. What else do I like? I like entrepreneurship. I like learning. I like experiencing, you know, new things. One thing about being a poker dealer that's sort of amazing, honestly, is you can work 3 days a week and pay all your bills, and you get 4 days a week to yourself. Well, in those 4 days, if you got a family, you can spend your time with your family. If you don't, you can literally just have it be you against the world, where you're learning everything out there in the world that you can and trying to make it on your own while you're paying your bills as a poker dealer. Like, I'm not somebody that's trying to tell anybody that they should be a poker dealer for life or a poker supervisor for life. If you want to, that's great. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a great industry to get into. But you can also use this as something that's in your back pocket forever. Like, people go to 4-year dealer school or 4-year colleges to get backup plans for themselves. Or you can just learn to be a poker dealer and keep it in your back pocket. It's amazing. Literally, I'm coming back to it. I get extra money, and if I ever need a job, I have one. It's the ultimate security, and it only takes a couple months to learn the deal. So yeah, as an entrepreneur, I've had so much fun, you know, building up. I built up a business. It was hard to do. It took a lot of learning and trials and tribulations, essentially, being an entrepreneur. But that's definitely a passion of mine. Startups, I love startups. What else? Yeah, I mean, those are some things that come to mind. I appreciate that question. Thank you, Gloria. Ben says, the more I hear from you in that little moment with the supervisor made me really want to work here. I definitely crave a strict room. Yeah, I'm curious what it's like out in your room. I've never been out there. It's on my list of places to go visit, but I got a long list, right? I've never been to Texas. I've got cousins in Houston and Austin. Well, I have been to Houston because of my cousin, but I've never been to Austin. I got friends out there too. Maybe the next cold wave, I'll run up there, right? That's what some of the people that work here did. When all the power was out in Texas Card House in Dallas, they ran up to Choctaw, and they stayed overnight. But yeah, man, I mean, at the very least, come say hi, right? I'm not saying right now necessarily, but if you're in the area, come say hi. And if you have any interest working in the room, like, give us a chat. I'm certainly not trying to poach anybody, but if you're saying that you have an interest in coming out here, come chat, come check it out, talk to me, talk to the supervisors here, get a sense of it, you know? Why not, right? Let's see. Patrick says, yeah, I will see you soon. Just tough without a bankroll or spare cash. Listen, I totally get it. I took absences from playing poker for the same reason. So I'll be here. Let's put it that way. I don't know how long, but it should be long enough. Gecko's opinion says, given the Texas mask rules, is a mask essential? Well, the room still requires it. So yeah. And actually, that's one of the things that the house is strict on. If players have their nose showing, they actually care, and supervisors will give them a hard time, and the dealers are expected to tell them to pull their masks up. And I mean, it's safer for everybody that way, so I certainly respect it. Hey, I'm recording, so I just want you to know that you'd be on camera back there. Cool. Figured I'd give him a heads up, right? Let's see. Carol says, who is chip runner? I think you're saying, like, what is a chip runner or something like that. It's a good question. It's a position here. So they have brush, they have chip runner. These are weird names, and I'll tell you what they mean. A chip runner is somebody who helps the dealers at the table by, showing up when a dealer needs them to collect time from the players, or showing up when a dealer needs them to fill their banks as the chips run down low. So, you'll have something like 1,500, and as a dealer, someone buys in for 300. Well, you sell them chips out of your bank, then you have cash in there. You do it again, you sell them more chips. Eventually, you run out of chips, right? So you need someone to come and help, or you making change. You need white chips in order to continue to make change. So that's what a chip runner does. They basically help. They're the helpers of the room, and they're there to help the dealers and the players. They'll get buy-ins for players as well as it comes up, and some other jobs here and there as well. And then there's the brush, which is the person who puts the players' on the list and calls them for their table when it's time for them to play, and all that good stuff too. Those are a couple of the positions. They also have waitresses here, and they have I think that they're hiring like cleaning attendants as well. So like if you literally know nothing about poker or anything like that, and you just want to experience being in the room, you could just come here and sort of be a person who maintains the cleanliness of the room and fixes problems and stuff like that. They also have hostesses at the front because they do sell memberships and stuff like that. They have a hostess up front all the time for when people come in. Yeah, it's a pretty cool system, honestly. Joel says, hello Mark, what is included in the membership? Comp, drinks, appetizers, valet. What is the high hand bad beat? So those are good questions, and Joel is talking about the membership at TCH Dallas. So basically, one of the rules that are required here in order for them to run a legitimate poker room in Dallas and in Texas is it has to be membership based. So their way of dealing with this is to have a paywall for members, which makes it allowed. And I'm saying this from the standpoint of this is what I've been told. And I'm certainly not saying I know. I haven't read the regulations or anything like that. I just want to be clear about this. But my understanding is they get memberships at the front, and that allows them into the club, period. So it allows you access to the poker room. It allows you access to play the games. It allows you access to the bathrooms. It allows you access to the ATM. It allows you access to the food and beverage area. It allows you access to play poker is mostly what people use it for, honestly. And so there's nothing that really comes with it, but it's super cheap also. It's just like your barrier to entry. That's it. Let's see. And this is a you can like bring your own stuff. You're going to be on camera if you keep going, if you don't mind. She doesn't want to be on camera. I like this game. This is fun. No. Well, feel free to say hi if you want. Maybe people ask you questions about what it's like to work here. I said you can always come and people can ask you questions about what it's like to work here if you'd like. Hey, how's it going? People are shy, you know. I have a lot of experience being on camera, so I guess I'm not shy, but people are shy, and it's sweet. Let's see. And the high hand, bad beat question. Oh, there's no valet, but the parking's really, 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 really easy here. I said all those reallys because of how it's incredibly easy to park here. It's a big, basically a big shopping plaza, and they have a spot in it. There's parking around back that some people don't even know about. And there's parking, and it's like super close to where the room enters. And then there's also parking in the main area, and it's really easy to get here. Let's see. And I don't think that there's comps, but they let you bring your own stuff in here. They even have a BYOB policy where you can just bring stuff in if you want. But that's only for members, you know. I think that's one of the cool things about there being a membership is that that's allowed. What else? And what's the high hand bad beat? So they don't take a jackpot drop. They don't take anything. There's nothing like that. So all promotions are literally paid by the house. And so because of that, they don't worry about that type of stuff at this point in time. At some point, maybe they will, but right now they don't. So you don't have any jackpot drops, so all that money is not coming out of the pot. It's not being redistributed to people. It's in the pot. So players come here to actually play poker and make money off the other people at the table. That's what they're doing. And it's pretty cool because that, to me, is something I haven't seen in a long time, and I missed it. Gia G. Lee says, can you please repeat all type in the software that they use to count time for a players? Can I repeat? I don't understand that question, Gia G. Let me see. Can you please repeat all type in the software that they use to count time for players? I don't know the name of the software that they use, if that's what you're asking. I know that they have Poker Atlas, but I think that works in tandem with some other system. And I'm not sure what the other system is. But in Poker Atlas, like as a dealer at the table where the Poker Atlas system is open, I can look at the screen and see how much time everybody has left. But they're purchasing time using a different system. I'm not sure what that system is. If that's what you're asking, I'm not sure if that's what you're asking. Bryce says, China clays or Paulson's? Casino clay chips are my favorite. Yeah, well, so I have a huge set of Pharaohs, which are sort of the Paulson chips. That was what I used for my original True Poker Dealer videos, and I don't know if I was supposed to oil them or what, but they all started crumbling after 2 years, and I was really bummed about it. I had a beautiful set. I spent like $800 on it, so I really can't recommend that. I keep saying at some point I want to create my own line of chips because of all these questions, and there really is no perfect home market. But that said, I've heard great things about China clays, and if you can find some real Paulsons, hell yes. Paulson, I'm gonna say grew up playing at Foxwoods in Connecticut. You know, it was 100-something tables there when I started playing, and they use Paulsons, and I fell in love with those chips. They're amazing. The chips that they use here are pretty solid too. They're not Paulsons. I don't know what brand they are, but they're really easy to cut and manage. They have a good weight to them and all that stuff. But yeah, the China clays and Paulsons are great. Ben says, is the 125 Congress open pot raise 15 or 20? This is, believe it or not, a debated topic at Choctaw that 125 PL games open are 15 and not 20 due to true pot versus standard that all blinds. So what I have experienced here is they make it 15 as the open if nobody has. So let's define this a little bit. First of all, Congress is 5-card high-low. So you get 5 cards and it's pot limit. And you know, there's one board most of the time. You can do a double board version, but let's talk about one board. And half the pot goes to the high hand, half the pot goes to the low hand. Just like in pot limit Omaha, you have to use 2 from your hand and 3 from the board. So everybody's getting 5 cards in Congress. And in 125, what that means is players put out a blind of $1 and $2. And if you want to limp, meaning call the big blind, you can't call 2, you have to call 5. So even though nobody has $5 it's forced, you have to put 5 in order to start. So what they do at this particular room, from what I've seen, and by the way, I want to be really clear, okay? I dealt this maybe twice, and the thing that I did was I learned from the players that they go to 15. This is what they're used to when nobody has limped for 5. So if nobody's put anything in, everybody's folded, and the first person wants to raise to the pot, they do 15. Do I think that makes sense? I don't know. I can't say yes or no, but that's how they do it. So 15 is the answer at this particular poker room from what I've seen, and I could be wrong about that. You know, there's a lot of details when it comes to dealing in a new room, and something about being true poker dealer that nobody else probably experiences, or rarely it's experienced. Literally, when I came into this room to deal, nobody trained me on anything about how they do it here. They just figured I'd be fine. I mean, they weren't wrong, but it meant I had to learn stuff from the table a little bit, and then I come up with questions here and there. And it's not like you can have a notebook and a notepad and a pen while you're dealing. You can't do anything like that to write stuff down. So I have to just like try to remember this stuff after, you know, my 5 tables of dealing that I was not sure about. And it sort of comes up over time. So I think 15 is the answer that they do here.
Carl, you want Congress?
It's sort of a strange dynamic though, because I think that what they do is they think about the 1 and the 2 as a $5 chip because they round it up, and then they just go 3 times that whole thing. But yeah, I've seen 15 a lot as the open, and 20 is the open once somebody goes in for 5. So hopefully that answered. Let's see. Greg says, I work at J Peak in Vermont. I work in reservations. Oh, I got you. Cool. I don't think I knew that. I appreciate you telling me that. And then down below you said they say everything's bigger in Texas. Does that extend to bet sizing and hold'em? Yes. I've seen plenty of pre-flop raises and 1-2 no limit to 35. Okie dokie, people call it. I also came and I saw a pizza that was larger than anything I'd seen in my whole life, and it was in the break room. I don't know. Everything is bigger in Texas. It's a lot further to drive places, but it's laid out pretty well as long as you understand their weird highway system. I say that with love. Carol says, NBA, loves the NBA. Yeah, me too. That's sad. In my country, dealers earn garbage money. Not here. You do pretty well out in the United States. Sorry to hear that. Yeah. I've known that it's not the same in every country, but a lot of it has to do with the tipping culture here, you know? I mean, when you have this tipping culture in the United States, it really bleeds its way into this type of an industry. It allows it to work out pretty well for the dealers. Players are really appreciative too, which is really cool. And like I said earlier, the players that play in this room, they're so much nicer than I'm used to. Really cool. Let's see. D1 Keys, would Las Vegas casino be considered the best, highest salary dealer jobs, or is just finding a local casino card room to be just as good? Las Vegas is not going to be your best. You know, it's out there. It's changed a lot, and there are definitely dealing jobs out there where you can do well, but Florida was great money. Texas is great money.
Eric D.
New markets are always going to be great. They're opening up in Virginia too, and I have a great relationship with some of the room, or someone that's opening a room out there at Pop's Poker, and I do consulting for them, and I've helped them train their dealers and set some things up, and I have so many positive things to say about Pop's Poker out in Virginia. They're going to be opening soon. I really believe that the money's going to be great in Virginia. Any new market, you're always going to get a lot of good players that tip really well. And Maryland is supposed to be really good too. I've never actually worked there, but there's other places too I'm leaving out. Like I think that the longer a poker presence exists in a market, the more it sort of stabilizes over time, and you get very consistent tips that are slightly lower. Still good, don't get me wrong, but it's more about getting lots of hands out instead of getting lucky and pushing the right person in the pot, you know? Let's see.
Final call for Kelly W for 1
Eric says, I've been practicing taking a rake. The high limits use time rake. Yep. Is there anything I need to know as a dealer about it. Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard. Time rake is easier than taking a regular rake. Basically, depending on the house policy, sometimes they take it out of the first pot that reaches a certain amount, and then you just do it. Sometimes you get it from every player, and you just make change going around the table as you go. But that's like when you sit down. But either way, when you take a time rake, be careful not to put it in the rake drop. If you put a time, I'm going to talk over here so it's easier to hear me. If you put it in the rake drop, you're so trained as a dealer, dealing every other table, taking regular rake, you're so trained that you literally will accidentally drop it, and a supervisor is supposed to verify it. So, yeah, all you need to know is when you take the time rake, don't put it in the rake slide, because you're gonna accidentally send it down the rake slide without a supervisor verifying it sometimes. But it's really easy to do all that stuff. Patrick says, check out Dallas Poker Store. They sell cards, chips, tables. Oh, cool. I will do that. They also have an eBay store. Awesome. Man, eBay. That's an interesting throwback, right? It's crazy that eBay didn't last longer than it did. Amazon just absolutely crushed them. But I mean, eBay still does well. It's just, it's not the thing anymore. Celestial 007. Any poker table brand you'd recommend? I saw people build their own table with speed cloth a lot, but it feels slippery somehow, and I feel like the real casinos use different materials. Not sure. So I absolutely love something called gaming suede. I do not like speed cloth. Gaming suede is... The thing that's tough about me saying gaming suede is, first of all, it's really expensive, and second of all, I'm not 100% sure that all gaming suede is the same. I just know that I have two amazing gaming suede felts that I really, really like. The felts that they have at Texas Card House are pretty nice too. It's very possible that they're gaming suede. I'm not sure what they use here. I could ask Victor. But, it's tough because a lot of casino vendors that sell the casino quality stuff, they don't sell to the players. So you have to be a casino, you have to have a license in order to buy from them. They're only looking for big contracts, right? Why do they want to make like a couple bucks here and there? They'd rather make a few thousand here or there. Yeah, I don't have any. So I had my poker table built by someone who doesn't make them anymore, and I wish I could promote him because he did an amazing job with my poker table. And I recently reached out to chanmanpokertables.com, and he sent me a sample felt of gaming suede, and it was pretty expensive, but it was really cool. I have a True Poker Dealer, the black True Poker Dealer logo on it, and I absolutely love it. But then he said his latest version of gaming suede is a different material, so I'm not really sure what to expect. It could still be really good. But search around and ask for a sample is the simplest thing I'll say. And make sure that when you build your table, you put the right foam underneath. Sometimes you can get foam that's not exactly the right foam, and it makes it really hard to get under whatever felt you're using. So I appreciate those questions. Let's see. Emerson says, going to be playing in a cash game at a casino for the first time this weekend. If I want to re-raise the size of the pot, can I just say pot to the dealer, or do I have to signify the exact amount? So the time that you can say pot is when you're playing a pot limit game. So if you're playing pot limit Omaha or Big O or Big O High Low, which is also called Congress, games like that, any pot limit game, you literally can say pot, and the dealer will tell you how much. They might have to go and calculate it for a second. In the case of a Texas Hold'em no limit game, or any type of a no limit game, you literally just say how much you want to bet, and there is no limit, so you're choosing the amount every time, and that's how you go about that. By the way, I appreciate questions for people that are learning how to deal too, or how to play too. It can be intimidating going and sitting at the table for the first time, and so yeah, I super support anybody who wants to ask playing questions here too, so that they can feel more comfortable. So Emerson, if you want to tell me more of the situation, I'm more than happy to be specific. Greg says, I have an update on Vermont's casino bill. It died in committee. Too bad. Oh man, too bad for sure. Boy, Vermont. I lived in Massachusetts for still the majority of my life. I was up there for like 25 years. I did go to school in upstate New York. I visited Vermont maybe 3 or 4 times. I feel like Vermont is a beautiful place, and not enough people spend time there. They need stuff like this to get people to go to Vermont, right? So I'm bummed for you. That would have been cool. But New Hampshire isn't far. They have poker there. Eric says, thank you. You're welcome. Whew. A lot of talking. Looking around right now. They've got some pretty long lists. I'm still learning Poker Atlas a bit. It's been cool so far. Emerson says, yeah, I'm going to play No Limit Hold'em. So I got to just say the exact amount of the raise. So you have two options, okay? Option one, you verbalize your action before you put any chips into the pot. And what that's going to do is it will lock you into a specific amount that you bet. So if you say 40, or you say $40, the dealer will say 40 is a bet, or 40 is a raise, or something like that. At that point, you push out 40. The dealer's going to make you do it one way or another. But make sure that you're clear in the thing that you say. If you are not clear in the thing that you say, there is no way for anyone to be sure what you said. Especially with masks on, it's really nice when a player is clear. So that's something you got to be very careful about. Your other way to make a bet is to count out and push out the exact amount that you want to bet, and then that's your bet. They do ask that you verbalize your actions, but it's certainly not a requirement. When I play poker, I don't. But I'm also really comfortable with the chips and figuring out how much to bet and making the bet and all that stuff. So, it's up to you how you want to do it. Another thing is, you do need to make sure when you're betting that you know what you're allowed to do. So let's say that somebody bets 40. Well, if you say 50, it doesn't mean you automatically get to bet 50. Somebody that bets 40, it has to be a minimum of 80 in order to raise them if they're the opening bet. So let's say it's the flop and nobody's put any money in on the flop in a no-limit Texas Hold'em game. First person bets 40. Well, now the raise amount has been established as 40. It went from 0 to 40. So for you to raise, you'd have to put in 80 or more. So if you say 50, they're not going to let you put 50 in. That's not a legal raise amount. So they would force you to call in that point. If you say 70, well, that's more than half of a raise, but not a full raise. So now you're committing yourself to betting 80. So you do want to make sure that you know how much you're actually allowed to put into the pot before you make that verbal declaration. But another thing you can do is, if you want to make sure that you raise, if you're trying to raise, before you say the amount, say the word raise. So couple little tips there. Hopefully those help you. And thank you for that question. Let's see. Ben says again, thanks for the answers. At this room, if a player goes all in before the river, who shows first at showdown? You're talking about at TCH. I can only guess. I know I've been dealing here for 3 days, but so the thing is, when you're really experienced as a poker dealer like I am, it's real easy to be in the moment and realize, oh, I don't know what the policy of this house is, and then you just figure out what the policy is. If I have to call the floor because it comes up, I call the floor. If the players all seem to know what the policy is, then I just sort of go with it. And then I find out later, hey, was that the right policy? It's really not that big a deal. However, if a player in any way shows resistance or gets upset, just get a floor, right? You don't want to force them to do the wrong thing. I don't have an answer for that exact question. My guess, well, so they say that they follow WSOP rules. So my guess is that if I remember the WSOP rules properly, it's last aggressor on the river, or if there was no aggressive action on the river, it's whoever checked first. That's my guess, but I don't know for sure. Let's see. But yeah, so just so you guys know, they do follow WSOP rules very frequently here, including the cash rules at TCH Dallas. And just to say it again, just like it says in the title of this video, they are going to be switching to 24/7. That means that they need new staff, additional staff. They're looking to hire dealers. So if you think you can pass an audition out here, come give it a shot. It's a great place to work. I've been dealing here for 3 days and had a great time so far. Let's see. Player goes on before the river. Yeah. Ben then says, yes, you have to say your raise amount unless you're playing pot limit. The dealer can't actually tell you in no limit hold'em. That's correct. Greg says, I had been fantasizing about the casino enterprise that would turn Rutland, Vermont around. Yeah, exactly. I went to Castleton University for my bachelor's degree. During my time here, the city of Rutland went pretty far downhill. If Springfield, Massachusetts is any indication, a good casino, and then we'll find out what he says after that. Joel says, do they have shufflers? Do you have to count down the deck? How often? So they do not have shuffle machines here. Leon came, the assistant general manager, came over and sort of gave some insight into that earlier in the live stream. It was really nice of him to come and chat about that. They don't have shufflers here, and that has to do with potential legality issues and the dynamic in Texas and how everything works out here. And in not having shufflers, they hand shuffle. And because they hand shuffle, the requirement is to count the stub twice per table. So generally speaking, you're going to do once in the first 2 to 3 hands, and then once toward the end of your down as well. And when I played here, the dealers do it, and I was doing it too. And it's pretty interesting counting the stub, because I haven't counted the stub in a long time, is really what I'll say to that. But I like doing it. I like hand shuffling. You know, I mentioned earlier my pinkies are a little bit sore. I haven't done it much lately, so my skin needs to get used to it again. But that doesn't take too long. It's not that bad. But I have been asking to leave after 8 hours. Not asking to leave. They come around. You know, they do this in a lot of poker rooms. They say, hey, do you want to go when it's your turn, or do you want to stay late, or whatever, if they have extra business. And I've just been saying I'll go after 8 or 9, just literally because my fingers are, from hand shuffling, they're getting a little bit tired. It's actually nice to not be dealing today, because I dealt 3 days in a row, and then I come back and deal again tomorrow. Let's see. Gloria says, if I can deal table games, roulette, craps, how hard is it to pick up poker? I know there are many rules. Well, you will not be the only one doing that. So first of all, recently last Friday actually, I interviewed Nas, who is a table games dealer and floor in Florida, who just got hired as a poker dealer at the Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida. And she's really excited about it. She's also sort of nervous, but her experience is similar to yours. Ben, who's been talking to us in here, has also been a table games dealer first and then went to become a poker dealer. The answer is it's easier. Now, the best case scenario for you is going to be that you have already been a poker player as well. The mechanics of table games are cleaner and prettier and better than the mechanics of poker in general. The mechanics that I teach on YouTube, believe it or not, are actually table games mechanics that I teach for poker, because it makes sense to have these good mechanics in poker. So if you learn from me, you're actually learning table games mechanics that I learned, but I've also been a poker dealer, obviously, and a poker supervisor, and I've noticed bad mechanics that are sort of accepted in the industry. So I said, forget it. I don't want people to learn this. I'm going to teach them the right way to do casino in general. And the mechanics that I teach are something that if you transition from poker to table games, you can go and have an easier time as well. That being said, going from table games, especially if you've been like a craps or roulette dealer, it's just so much easier than starting from scratch, because you know how hard it is to learn to do all those things with your hands. The pitch is a little bit different, so that's one thing you do have to learn from mechanics with poker. But you know, if you're a poker player, you know a lot of the rules already. If you're not a poker player, you have to learn the rules. That does take time, but literally, I can just tell you, if you could go to dealer school for it. If your casino teaches, then take advantage of that for sure. If you're a table games dealer, it's going to be much easier for you than a regular non-table games dealer. So you should have an easy time just jumping in and even getting my course for Texas Hold'em and jumping in and learning how to deal the games. And anyone else that wants to comment on that, feel free to do so. But, you know, no matter what, whether you get my course or not, even if you've been a table games dealer, you still got to put the time in. You still have to, like, learn this new game. Because it's not as simple as just learning a new table game. Like, learning poker as someone with good mechanics is close to as complicated as learning craps. Not quite, but it's in that same ballpark. There's a lot to it, is the point. So that's sort of the answer, but it's definitely easier. The one major difference, and I did an interview with Vegas Aces, who teaches table games on YouTube, like I teach poker on YouTube. The one major difference is really customer service. That is something that takes some getting used to, because you're not allowed to be as free in conversation with the players because they're playing against each other. They're not playing against the house. That does take some self-training, but it's not that hard, honestly. Let's see. So I'm going to read these two comments together now. Greg says, I went to Castleton University for my bachelor's degree. During my time there, the city of Rutland went pretty far downhill. If Springfield, Massachusetts is any indication, a good casino would turn things around and drive Vermont's economy back up. The thing is, we just don't have a ton of money. Yeah, I mean, you have enough money in order for a casino to be profitable. That's for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's like, when you think about it from that perspective, getting a casino in Vermont is so simple, but politics make it very, very difficult. And a lot of the Northeast, I mean, I'm from there, right? A lot of the Northeast has this not in my neighborhood mentality, and so it can be really difficult to get anything passed out there. Let's see. Eric says, I studied the TDA rules that you sent me. I also read the rules of Steve's poker that he sent me. Little secret, that's a rule set that I used to use in a Florida poker room. It's not, I replaced the poker room name with Steve's House because I just figured it was a good idea to do that. But I think that exact rule set is in like 5 rooms right now. Maybe slightly adjusted for the individual room, but that's good, Eric. I'm really happy to hear that. You said I'm a table games dealer. I believe dealing poker is 1/3 table games experience, 1/3 table games experience, 1/3 knowing the games of poker, and 1/3 dealing poker. Eric's YouTube helped the 1/3. I don't know what the last part means, but yeah, the stuff that you're saying has a lot of truth to it for sure. And it's really good that you read those rules. It should make it a lot easier. The one thing that you need to do is you need to just get the experience at the table. If you have anywhere that you can practice and you ask some of your friends to come and play like a 25-cent, 50-cent home game, or maybe like even a 1 cent, 2 cent, just for super cheap amounts of money, it'll really help you get that like, oh, this is what it feels like to play vibe. It makes a big difference for sure. Let's see.
Adam F for dealer's choice.
Spiro says, Greg, take a ride down to Encore Boston Poker Room when it's back, if you don't mind the drive, but the games I played there were good, all around beautiful property. Sweet.
And Rod is John Congress.
Greg's saying he doesn't like the Boston traffic. Boy, can I relate to that. Riff Raff, how's it going, man? Hey, Marc, nice to see you streaming. Appreciate that. It's good to see you here. I haven't seen you in a while. Riff Raff was here for a lot of my original courses last summer, where I was doing the live streams that turned into the course. Ben says, if I can find some nice, reasonable housing within 20 minutes of TCH, I'll absolutely reach out. What days and times are you usually there? I might come say hi soon. I mean, honestly, because you have my contact info, just reach out to me and I'll let you know. Like, say, hey, this might be a good time to come. You think you'll be there, Marc? And I'll just tell you yes or no. I don't know that I have a set schedule. I really don't know. I told them 4 days a week is what I want. And one thing that's really nice about TCH, I don't know how long this will last, but it's true for right now, is it's really easy to pick up shifts. Like, I could have asked them to schedule me 1 day a week and I still could work like 7 days if I wanted to. I'm not sure that they'd let me work 7, but you know what I'm saying. Like, it's really easy to pick up shifts here. It's just the nature of it right now. Let's see. D1 Key says, just filled out that application link in the video description. I'm currently in school in AL, I think is Alabama maybe? But I'm seeing if they would hire me over the summer. Oh, maybe. Vic says, yo, Eric says that you taught me that you maybe taught me the poker dealing part. I dealt to friends all Friday night. Great practice. Oh, yeah, for sure. Whew. So, a couple things just to remind everybody that's watching. One, if you're in the area, I'll probably be here for a few more hours. Well, I'll definitely be here until 6 p.m. Central. I'm going to jump in and play some 1-2. Maybe I'll stay longer. Depends how it goes. I intentionally didn't bring a ton of money. But I'll hang out until 6 one way or another and sort of just have fun and be here. So if anybody wants to come and say hey and chat with me, feel free. I do ask you, if you say hey to me, like, I'm not great with names. I'm decent with faces. I try my best. I really appreciate when somebody like... So I had somebody 3 weeks ago when I was here visiting to see if I wanted to come and make this move. They came and they yelled True Poker Dealer in the house, and it was really cool that they did that. And then I turned around and I couldn't remember who did it. Otherwise, I would have gone and said hey to them and stuff. So come say hi and engage me a little bit. If I'm in a hand of poker, I'm totally fine like interacting. I'm comfortable playing poker and interacting with somebody, so you don't have to worry about interrupting me, although I know that in general people discourage that, but like I'll tell you, hey, give me a second if I need it, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, if you're here in TCH, come say hey, chat with me a little bit. That's what it's like. I love stuff like that. You guys are awesome. Everybody that I talk to in these live streams, like, or yeah, in the chat, I mean, I don't know who you guys are. I know some of you now, you know what I'm saying? But I like it, is what I'm trying to say. So introduce yourself and chat with me a little bit, and don't run away. Stick around. I'm not great at multitasking, so I'll do my best. But yeah, I want to get to know you guys if you're here for sure. Let's see what else we got. Greg says, coming back to Vermont's casino bill, we actually had a sports betting bill get studied too. Interesting. Yeah, sports betting is like, it was supposed to be huge, and then I haven't heard a whole lot about it since then, since they, I think, made it legal federally or whatever it was. Thomas says, I had my first audition in Houston this week. Oh, cool. Your videos have been incredibly helpful during the preparation process. Thank you so much. Well, you're welcome. I appreciate that. One thing that's been really cool coming out to Texas, and I should have been able to predict this and understand it, but it didn't really occur to me. You know, this has been an underground market for a long time where there's been underground poker and that's it. And now that there's real poker here, it's different. But True Poker Dealer is used constantly for underground stuff. It never really occurred to me. You know, I don't really know who's watching this stuff. And recently, because Texas is opening up rooms, True Poker Dealer has been something that's helped a lot of people. And your comments, like Thomas just now, really appreciated, because I don't know unless somebody tells me that they're watching my video. I'm not tracking who you are or anything like that. You're just on YouTube, you know? And then when people get memberships, I get a sense of who they are. But even a membership on YouTube, I don't have access to anything other than your channel name. So it's really cool anytime somebody says that, you know, I'm able to help. It's really nice that I was able to make this resource, and I'm very appreciative that you guys like it so much. So appreciate that for sure. The Real D says, where you at right now? I'm new. Oh, I'm in Texas Card House in Dallas, Texas. And it's a poker room out here that's opened up about 4 months ago or so. And I haven't dealt in 5 years until 3 days ago when I started dealing again here. I am dual rating here, although I don't know how much I'll floor. I just, you know, the general manager of the property here and I go way back, and I said whatever you need is fine. I'm here because this is fun. You know, maybe I'll do training here. Maybe I'll run classes here. Maybe I'll train some of you guys to actually be poker dealers out here right in the room. I don't know what's going to come of it. Victor hasn't actually come back to... he's out of town at the moment, so I just moved out here and he's out of town. It's sort of funny, but he'll be back in a day or two, so maybe even today, I'm not sure. But yeah, I'm excited. This is pretty fun. Whew, my mask keeps falling down. Let's see. Joel says, can employees dealers play there at TCH? Yes. And there, one of the things, so earlier in this live stream, Leon, the manager, came over and talked about, he answered Ben's question about, you know, how strict they are here, because Ben had heard in a different room about an hour away that the staff is really strict here. The supervisors are strict on the dealers. Well, one thing that they're also really strict about is if you play and you get out of line at all, you get in trouble for it here. So I like that. The fact that the people are allowed to play here, I've actually worked in another room that allowed the staff to play. It was back in like 2008, 2007, yeah, 2007 and 2008 in Washington State. Someone's calling me from a Dallas number. That's interesting. That's new for me. In 2007 and 2008, I had multiple people that were working in a room, playing in a table in a room that I was running. So, like, we all worked at the same casino, and they were playing there, and it was pretty interesting. Like, they were sort of getting out of line a little bit. And the question is, what do you do then, right? Well, here I haven't seen. So
Ryan, do you want one?
I don't know anybody here yet. I mean, I'm learning everybody slowly, but I haven't seen anybody playing at the table that I know is a dealer here, and I'm always curious.
You want
Like, are
yours,
any of
Ryan?
you guys staff? Like, I don't know. But yeah, they let the staff play here. This is the second property I've worked at that's like that.
You want
That's what I was
yours?
trying to say. I was a little distracted because I'm like, who is calling me from Dallas? I'm like, maybe I should answer this, but I didn't because I'm on a live stream. Let's see. Greg says, if I'm ever in Dallas, I'll let you know. I'm planning on stacking a few people. Yeah, if you come to Dallas, you have to stack a few people. That's one of the rules. That's actually, it says that when you enter Dallas. The Real D says, I live by Austin. Maybe next time you come down, I can see you. Cool, man. Do you play at TCH in Austin? I know that they have one in Austin and Houston, and then I forget the name of the other location. It's down by the border, south in Texas. Riff Raff says, so to answer you, if I go to Austin, I'm definitely going to check out the TCH. So I can certainly talk about that on a live stream if I plan it in advance far enough, and then you can meet me down there for sure. Thomas says San Antonio is the other one. There's one in San Antonio? I should probably know this, but it's only day 3, so I'm still trying to learn Dallas. But there is another location that's not San Antonio. I know that for sure, because Victor said that he helped open that one. Let's see. Riffraff says, Mark, I'm the one who emailed you early this morning. We'll be chatting on Friday. Looking forward to it. Oh, great. Cool. That's really exciting. I had no idea that was you. Awesome. I haven't seen your email response, but I'm guessing that you probably did respond by now. That's exciting. Thomas says, Texas poker is a wild time. All the rooms in Houston, except for TCH, play huge. 1-3 max buy-in is usually 1K, and it's not uncommon to see people with 3,000 to 4,000 behind. That's fascinating. I love games like those. Working with Poker Pro Michael Lockey on the live poker coaching channel, which you can totally check out. Live poker coaching is one word on YouTube. He's been teaching me more about deep stack poker, and as a player, that is. And it's fascinating starting to understand how to play better. I love it. I really do. Playing 1K deep or 3,000 to 4,000 deep in a 1-3 game is just fascinating to think about, honestly. Greg says, I think that's El Paso. I stand correct. All right. I'm going to look this up because I don't want to just be sitting here not knowing where the rooms are for Texas Card House. Uh-oh. I try to open a tab and it's going slow. I hope that doesn't mean I lose you guys. Oh, gosh. I type in Texas Card House. It puts Dallas automatically in there for me. Thanks, Google. All right. So let's see. I'm taking a look here, and we're going to see the locations. I see on the TexasCardHouse.com website, it says Austin, Houston, Dallas, and Rio Grande Valley. I don't see San Antonio here, so I'm not sure that that's true. I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but I don't see it here. Rio Grande Valley. They were saying something like Macaw, but I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Edinburgh, Texas is where it is. So Edinburgh is where the fourth one is. Thomas is, I was wrong. It's Rio Grande Valley. Oh, cool. You got the same solution. Greg says, where does a guy get good Mexican food in Dallas? The answer is anywhere. I haven't actually gotten around to trying the Mexican food yet out here, but everybody tells me that it's like there's taco places everywhere, and they're all really good, and it's really authentic and totally worth checking it out. So I can only tell you that that's what I hear. I don't know myself, so I'm not sure. Well, it's been about an hour and a half, and I have been on about as long as I typically go for. I'd say I like to keep these short, but these are anything but short videos. But I appreciate you guys being in here, and I'm certainly happy to take a last couple of questions or comments. And yeah, we'll finish it off here, and I'll let them use these tables if they want them. Greg says, guess I better brush up on my Spanish too. I know, right? Thomas says, if you see a broken down taco truck on the side of the road with a line down the road, that's where you need to eat. I haven't seen that yet, but that sounds awesome. I've been trying to be pretty like thrifty. You know, I've been staying in a little 1-bedroom apartment thing and trying to figure out where I want to live, if I want to sign a lease, all that stuff. I got a lot to figure out while I'm out here for myself, and going out to eat isn't one of the things that I've really done a lot of yet. It's sort of been just like, you know, reacclimating myself to the job of being a poker dealer. And just so you guys know, they have been doing live streams here and TCH Dallas. So they've done it in Austin, in Texas Card House in Austin for a while. They do live streams, big games, all that stuff. They've been doing the live streams here in Dallas as well recently. And you guys can play in these games. They do it for the final table of the tournament sometimes, etc. Joel says, English only at the tables? Yeah, I haven't had any issue with that in the 3 days that I've been dealing here. And English only at the tables is a rule. You know, there was one time where two players were talking maybe Vietnamese or something like that, but they were not in the hand. They were sort of separate out on the table. That's all that I've experienced there. But yeah, the rule is English only. And Thomas says it varies from room to room. Yeah, totally. Appreciate you guys. All right, so I think I'm gonna jump off. I don't see any final questions beyond what I just saw. Always happy to have you guys here. Happy to jump in my live streams. I do apologize for being a little bit late today, but sometimes that's the way that it goes. I worked a lot the last few days, and I wasn't feeling like rushing. I'd rather come here, be relaxed, and be able to engage with you guys in the right way. So appreciate you guys very much. And like I said, I'll be here for a few hours. So if anybody wants to come say hi, make sure that you say hi. Don't worry about interrupting me if I'm in a hand. I plan on just playing 1-2 no limit. Try to get on my table, all that stuff. Last time I offered this and I did a live stream in this room, I did get to play with somebody that was someone who chatted in the live stream, and I had a lot of fun with, and really enjoyed it. It was a great time, so feel free to come back. But thank you guys. It says, thank you for this, Mark. You're welcome. Gloria said that. Thomas says, thanks, bro. Good luck. Glad you're in Texas. Appreciate that, too. I will catch you guys next week.